everybody. You're listening to the Big Chill Podcast. This is episode 513, World Cup Preview. Hello, Big Chillians, and welcome back to the Big Chill Podcast. I'm Frank, joined as always with Eddie, and joined for the first time by a new person, Ollie.
He's not a new.
So, Eddie, would you?
He's not a new person. He's just not been on the podcast before. He has existed for a while.
It looks new to me. We just created him. Eddie, why don't you get out of the way what you want to say about how the weather is really shitty in France right now, and then we can
Weather's okay.
Get on to Ollie and let our listeners learn a little bit about Ollie.
No, the weather's okay.
Because I've got some. Okay.
It's unseasonably warm. It's not quite. I don't know if you've seen the images of the England team struggling to deal with the heat in Qatar and the standing in front of fans blowing mist on them. But that didn't fill me with we'll get onto that later, but that didn't fill me with confidence when it comes to their prospects for the World Cup.
Ollie, how's it going? Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's been a while since I've probably listened to over 90% of your episodes. Yeah, finally on.
Well,
looking forward to it.
100.
Wow.
I mean, why have you missed some? But yeah, you've been often mentioned on the podcast so far, never seen before. So this will be such a treat for our dedicated listeners to, I think the only remaining sort of, the Moby Dick of the podcast is getting Vasilis on for an episode at some point. But
I don't think we should put anywhere near the words Vasilis and Dick.
He'd get excited. He would appear then.
So I guess, Eddie, as we used to do in the beginning of the podcast for our listeners to get to know us better, we had icebreaker questions. So I've got a few icebreaker questions for Ollie so that the listeners can get to know him a little better. So we'll start with the one that we've done all previously, which is, who is your celebrity lookalike?
Let's go with Olivier Giroud.
Wow! Coming out of the gate hot.
Wow. We'll post. I'll tell you what. This is a perfect opportunity for us to say you can follow the Big Chill Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, and we'll post a side by side of Ollie and Olivier Giroud, and we'll have a little poll. People can vote whether or not that is a even reasonably sort of sensible comparison.
In fact, he looks like me, seeing as I'm older. So let's put it out there.
Oh wow! Even
wow.
So then he's not your lookalike. Olivier Giroud would say, Ollie is my lookalike. So you have to pick someone else. Then you have to pick someone older. George Clooney, maybe.
No, we'll let that one go. That's a pretty good one. But to be even considered the Walmart version of Olivier Giroud is pretty impressive. So, all right, next question. If you were an Olympic athlete, what sport would you compete in?
That's quite easy.
Now, I know you're not going to say sprinting because we all know you didn't do so well on that.
If you want to take credit for beating an older guy who doesn't gym, then kudos to you, pal. But
wow,
he's coming out hot.
So okay, and what is the actual Olympic sport you would choose?
Triple jump, obviously.
Triple jump.
It's the event I competed in when I was younger.
Okay. Jonathan Edwards over here.
Exactly. I got the grey hair to match it.
Yeah. And the weird religious beliefs.
All right, next.
And the weird what?
Religious beliefs.
Next one.
Oh yeah, Frank wants to move.
That is not.
I think Jonathan Edwards is like Christian Scientist.
Right.
I think.
Wasn't aware of that.
Maybe he's something strange.
All right. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Can I say I avoid karaoke? Is that an answer?
Well, doesn't look great on you.
Very true.
I've seen you do karaoke.
Ooh, yes.
I think I have too,
really?
actually.
Yeah. I definitely have.
I must have been very intoxicated. Let's go for a little Backstreet Boys number. I Want It That Way, if that's the correct song title.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
We'll go with that one.
Okay.
I love a bit of Backstreet Boys.
Last one. What blog or website are you embarrassed to admit you love?
Wow. I don't know if I look at many.
I think mine would have to be Yahoo. I'm one of 4 remaining loyalists to yahoo.com.
And the others own Yahoo.
No, they gave up a long time ago. Are you a BuzzFeeder?
No, I don't really read.
I think that's what I like to be called, BuzzFeeders.
Probably not.
Are you a BuzzFeedist?
So no answer there. You don't read like Olivier Giroud's secret blog or something?
No.
Well, I guess at least you bringing up Olivier Giroud means that we can, go from transition from one extremely attractive male footballer to another and speak about the trials and tribulations of Cristiano Ronaldo before we get on to the World Cup, which he will be taking part in. But seemingly his time at Manchester United has well and truly come to an end after he decided to have an interview with Piers Morgan, during which he was critical of owners, players, managers,
Brexit,
pretty much everyone. His image has been removed from the outside of Old Trafford. It seems that Manchester United are looking into the legal options that they have available to them. So it's likely that his contract is going to be terminated in one way or another, and he might be even be sued. So a very abrupt ending to, a kind of sad ending for someone who was such a fan favorite. It's kind of tarnishes his reputation slightly.
Yeah, this did not work out very well. Like this has collapsed quickly. You're right. I think it is kind of a shame, right? I think most fans were excited to see him come back, and I think even he was excited to come back, and it's just not worked out well at all.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to end up in this weird way. He might get to the end of his career and kind of not really be like a legend at any particular club. This kind of removes his this. It's going to be very difficult for him to repair the relationship with Manchester United now. So it'll be difficult to see him being accepted back as a club legend at any point in the future. Juventus, definitely not. He never really delivered on what he went there to do, which was to win the Champions League. He was immensely successful at Real Madrid, but still never really developed like a close relationship with the fans themselves. So kind of has this weird, as one of the greatest footballers of all time, will be left with these kind of strange relationships with the clubs that he played at.
It's kind of homeless.
So, Ollie, you're a Chelsea supporter. It's been mentioned many times on the podcast in the past, and I know you're disappointed that sometimes we don't pay enough attention to Chelsea. Would you take Cristiano Ronaldo at Stamford Bridge?
I would, yes. I think with Chelsea's current situation, the fact that we can't score goals, he may be a solution to that. I mean, he was wanted by Bowie originally when he took over, and Tuchel obviously closed the door on that, and now Tuchel's gone. Depending on how much sway Potter has on the side, because I know they've recruited and gone heavy in backroom staff on technical directors and all the other titles they have. But I mean, looking at the odds as you guys do for the podcast, I mean, surprisingly, he's still 2-1 to stay at United, and he's 3-1 to join Chelsea or Sporting Lisbon. Even though they shouldn't be called Sporting Lisbon. Is that right?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Something you've learned from the podcast.
Yeah,
it's an interesting one. It's difficult to work out. We've spoken about it before. It's difficult to work out like a viable landing place for him. I think Chelsea is, though. We've mentioned Graham Potter's glow up, right, on previous episodes. I'm sure he'd love to have Cristiano Ronaldo in the dressing room. Maybe not for footballing reasons, but just to give him, help him manicure his eyebrows.
Even better glow up.
Yeah, just like dress sense. It's a perfect fit.
He loves to roll on. What's the roll neck now, doesn't he, old Potter?
He does, yeah. It's an incredible transformation from what he was at Brighton. Unrecognizable.
Yeah, no, I would like to see him there. Obviously, you're probably going to see half a season and a half out of him, but
he says he wants to go to the next World Cup. So that's 2.5 years away, right?
I don't
So
see longevity for him at Chelsea for that amount of time. So maybe not the move, but obviously Lisbon will be the ideal because you can get away with it in the Portuguese league.
yeah, it'd be different, and it's strange, right? Because I also then don't know if even playing in the Portuguese league would really suit him because it's an extremely physical league, slower than the Premier League, but they are very, very physical there. It's one of those leagues that I think people from the outside just they kind of think of Portuguese players, often the ones that are successful abroad, as being sort of tricky, skillful players. And so I think that's what the image people have of what Portuguese football is like. But it's actually a pretty sort of dirty physical experience.
Have you not seen Ronaldo with his top off? The guy's hench.
Yeah, isn't he a physical specimen?
I mean, but it doesn't mean he necessarily
great there.
Doesn't necessarily mean he wants to be like being knocked over on a weekly basis by Portuguese defenders he's never heard of. You know, like that's
what's he got to look like, Rob Gronkowski, to play in the Portuguese league?
Maybe when he's nearly 40. Yeah.
Well, I guess the main focus of this episode is our World Cup preview. So for everyone tuning in, I think this is a great opportunity, whether you have a lot of knowledge on previous World Cup or you're just looking to get into it and you want some neat facts, maybe some good betting tips, some things to watch for. I think this is going to be a good episode for everybody here. So I think we probably should start with where it's being hosted. And that's Eddie, listen, I got an email from FIFA this morning. We got to stick to football.
Yeah, it's hard though, right? I mean, they've done I think everyone came into this. We won't go into too much detail about the situation in Qatar and the number of just issues with the fact that they're hosting the World Cup. And we've discussed them on previous episodes. But I think everyone would have gone into this with fairly low expectations as to how smoothly this World Cup would go. And with 48 hours to go until the first match actually kicks off, it is even worse than everyone expected. You've, in a matter of...
They haven't even inflated the balls yet.
No, but you've had Danish reporters being accosted by random Qataris telling them they can't film. You've got the fact that they've now gone back on their original decision to have alcohol sold in the stadiums during matches, so that now the only way you can drink in the stadium is if you're in corporate hospitality. So if you're spending £19,000 plus for the pleasure of drinking probably extremely warm Budweiser, and then all of the images of the food situation there. I mean, I saw a picture on Twitter go viral of a Greek salad that someone had bought, and it just looks awful. I mean, it looks like a disaster.
But the training facilities don't look so bad, though. From what I've seen and what the players have said, they seem to be pretty nice, where a lot of the teams are training and staying and sleeping and eating and pretty much doing everything in their own little bubble in their own facilities. They seem pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's the benefit, right? Grass grows really, really well when the fertilizer used is the blood of migrant workers. So,
wow.
It turns out if your lawn is struggling to get nice and green, that's the easy fix.
Well, with that, this is obviously the first time it's being hosted in the Middle East, and the first World Cup to be played in the winter months, which we've talked about in previous episodes is going to be a little different for a lot of the players, kind of half in season and then going to have to go right back into the season once this is over. This is the costliest World Cup to date. It's £138 billion or $220 billion, which is about 10 times more than the next most expensive one. So very, very expensive. And the reason is because they had to build every single stadium from ground zero. So not a good way to start a World Cup when you have nothing on the ground.
You really want to be using the term ground zero while we talk about a World Cup based in the Middle East there, Frank?
Different context. But with that, they're only playing in 8 stadiums. So this is my first trivia question to both of you. True or false, this will be the smallest number of stadiums for any World Cup?
I'll weigh in on this one first. I would say that's false because I think the first ever World Cup was only hosted in a single city.
I was going false as well, but obviously didn't didn't have the stat to back it up as Eddie did.
It says with 8 total, this will be the smallest number of stadiums of any previous World Cup.
I don't believe that.
I don't know about 1930. Maybe there's a modern era aspect to that, but
I'd have to independently verify this. I'm pretty sure that the first ever World Cup was only held exclusively in Montevideo. So maybe they had 8 stadiums.
I've seen this.
There.
I've seen it in a few. So the biggest of the stadiums where the final we played is Lusail Stadium, and that's an 80,000 person capacity. So my next trivia question is, what is the largest ever attendance for a World Cup match? And this does vary since they don't have a full stat because it was in 1950. So it's not perfect, but there's 2 numbers usually thrown out.
So you just want the number?
The number of spectators.
I'll let the guest go first.
So kind. I'm going to go with 105,000.
105,000 from Ollie.
It's a pretty solid guess. I would have been right around that number. I'll go 110,000.
110. You are both very off. Okay. 173,000 is the number of spectators for a 1950 match between Brazil and Uruguay. Some estimates say it was actually closer to 199,000.
Well, I mean, I don't know how much I can trust you, though. I've just done very quick Googling. The 1930 World Cup, only 3 stadiums were used. So we might have to throw
I don't think they count that one. I think this is the modern era.
Okay, so I didn't know. We got to throw these qualifiers in.
Sorry. All right, next question. This is a good one. So the football pitches in Qatar need more water than usual because it's in a fucking desert. Each pitch needs about how many bathtubs of water every day?
Oh, my God. It's going to be an outrageous
I'm
number.
glad he didn't say buckets.
This is just one day for one pitch.
This is where we really need Sam, because Sam always had just ridiculously inaccurate guesses. Like Sam's guess would be like 7. So, and then we would.
Actually, Ollie was going to say 8, but now you veered him off that.
And then we'd tell Sam that's really low, and then he would be like, "Well, then 3 trillion." You know, he would have like nowhere in between. I'll go. I feel like no matter what number I pick, it's going to be really far off. I'll say the equivalent of 10,000 bathtubs.
That is insane. Do you know how much water? 10,000 bathtubs?
I don't know. I told you I was going to be off.
By Frank's reaction there, is he double buffing?
Based on Frank's reaction, I would say I guess low.
I'm going to go. So just for one.
Keep in mind, a bathtub holds 100 liters of water.
Oh, maybe one of your fancy big bathtubs.
I'm going to go 2,500.
100 bathtubs of water per day.
Oh, that's not even interesting.
What?
That's a terrible statistic. It's not even.
Okay. All right. I'm going to give you one now that's really going to fuck with you. How many entry door mats would it take to cover one regular sized football pitch? Like a doormat. How many doormats will it take to cover a full pitch?
What's the size of an average doormat? Like, what footage are we talking? One.
Probably like.
He's buying some time here. He's asking these questions.
I'm just trying to work
3 by 2, probably 4 by 2.
4 by 2
feet. That's feet. Sorry.
I'll go like 8,000.
Okay.
5,000.
11,984 standard entrance mats.
Okay. Wow. You really delivered on that one. This is the World Cup content everyone's been craving for.
And with that, welcome to the World Cup. So how do you want to go group by group?
Well, I mean,
discuss a little bit?
Maybe just because of the England stuff, we never really fulfilled our promise, right, to have this kind of England squad reaction. I guess with Ollie here, not do a full analysis of the England squad, but maybe just a sort of quick reaction to some of the fringe players, the decisions that were taken in terms of who was included. From my perspective, everything with the injuries and stuff, it kind of was the squad you thought would be there. The only issue I have slightly is with Callum Wilson being included. I think he's sort of there on merit. Obviously, Tony was in contention, but given his gambling escapades, which the England team may well have been aware of, there was probably no way they could have taken him because that would be a real headache right now. But my only issue with Callum Wilson, I would have preferred to have seen someone, given the fact that there was a very strong chance that Callum Wilson barely gets on the pitch. Like if this World Cup goes well for England, probably the only time he plays is maybe in the third group game. Aside from that, we probably won't see much of him. And I feel like it's a wasted opportunity to not take someone. He's 30 years old, so this is probably his only World Cup. I would have taken someone younger so they can at least get the experience of what going to a World Cup is like. So that even if they don't get on the pitch, they still sort of, for the next World Cup, have some sense of what the environment was. And it just feels like the inclusion of Callum Wilson is a little bit of a waste. He could prove me wrong. Maybe, he's been playing well this season. Maybe he comes off the bench and scores some important goals, or Harry Kane gets injured. But basically any scenario in which Callum Wilson is playing a significant part in this World Cup for the England team, something's gone really wrong.
Well, I guess kind of building off of that, what about, I think one of the other ones that people maybe had issue with was Gallagher. What about that?
Well, Ollie probably has more knowledge of that as a Chelsea supporter than most of us.
Well, I think that just echoes what Eddie said about taking a player that may not feature heavily on the field, but it's good experience to be in and around the squad in the environment. And I think Gallagher fits that profile, really. I mean, he could feature. I could be biased, but I think he's a really good player. And going forward, he offers a lot. He could work a little bit on his more defensive side, but I don't think that's his sort of natural game. So I think he could feature, but yeah, I more see him as a player to be in the squad and learn and sort of take the experience away. And in 4 years' time, is it 4 years? Has it gone back to the?
It's next. Yeah, I guess it's 3.5.
Yeah,
I think it's 2.5 earlier.
Next time around, I fully expect him to be, if he develops the way he's going, to be sort of heavily involved, and he could sort of feature in the midfield alongside Bellingham. They could be a good future. So yeah, no, I think it's a good inclusion. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, I like him, and it's not a position where England have a lot of strength and depth, really. So it's kind of hard to think of who would have been taken in central midfield instead of him. There's not that many viable options. I think the big ones, the unlucky ones to miss out, I think Tomori is unlucky to miss out. I think Chris Smalling is kind of unlucky to miss out, given how both of them have been really impressive in Serie A. And if anything, when we're trying to encourage England players to move abroad sometimes and get more experience and maybe learn different styles of play in the way that could benefit them in international football, this is a great argument for why you shouldn't do it. Because this is basically saying, if you move abroad, even if you're successful, people kind of forget that you exist. And both of these players have probably suffered from the fact that a lot of people aren't seeing them week in, week out. And so, just are unaware of the success that they're having in Italian football.
Oh, were they seeing much of Harry Maguire? I still don't understand that inclusion.
I can kind of get the Maguire inclusion just because he's been so good for England, that Germany match aside. So I don't know how, as an international manager, it must be difficult to balance performance for you and your team versus performance outside of that you have no control over. And I can get from Southgate's perspective that he trusts Maguire and he feels like he has experience in big tournaments and that he can deliver for England in a way that he's not been for Manchester United. I kind of get him being in the squad. I don't think he should necessarily be starting, but
I mean, how much of that, Eddie, because we talked about, I think maybe last podcast or the one before, about how there's not much of a warm-up going into this World Cup. I mean, pretty much they have not even almost a week, not even really, being there and getting into it. So how much of that do you think Southgate kind of has to weigh having people who have experience with a majority of the players and kind of knowing that they gel a little bit versus taking someone who might be performing better right now but doesn't have that years worth of experience of playing with the same players?
Yeah, that's a good point. The fact that, in other situations, you would have had a couple of warm up matches to try and integrate someone into a system they might not be familiar with. And especially for central defenders, and the relationship they have with each other and the relationship they have with a keeper is so important in terms of kind of having that understanding and knowing how to react to, decisions that the other ones make. So, yeah, that's another point in favor of Harry Maguire. I'll just feel really, really sorry for Harry Maguire if he makes a catastrophic mistake. Like this is, and that's the worrying thing, right? Because you don't want a player out there who's scared, and you don't want a situation late in the game where Harry Maguire is more worried about making a mistake than he is about just, kind of playing his game and doing well. So yeah, I mean, if he has like a David Beckham 98 moment, then I mean the effigies will be back. And Harry Maguire effigies will be burned all over England, I think.
So I guess I'll punt this one to Ollie then too. How big of a loss is Reece James and Ben Chilwell from being out of this squad?
Huge, massive. I mean, Reece James is come on leaps and bounds. He's probably one of the best, well, right backs, right wing backs, however you want to look at it, in the world, let alone just for England. He offers so much going forward. He can cross the ball. Obviously, maybe not on Trent's ability, but he can deliver. He can score goals, and defensively, he's got it. So not having him is huge, and obviously Chelsea are feeling that in the league as well because we have no backup currently. Azpilicueta should have left in the summer, but yeah, that's another issue. So Chilwell, he's been very injury prone recently, so it's difficult to say. But when he does play, he does again like James get forward and score goals, and he does have a defensive sort of attitude. So I would have, if he was fit, I would have played him over Shaw, but obviously Shaw's in the pocket of Gareth as well, so that would have been hard for him. So yeah, I think those two are huge losses, but I think, as we all know, we're quite blessed in the right back area, so hopefully it shouldn't be too much of an issue. And I'm trying to think with the left back, who would be cover if Shaw was to get injured or suspended. I don't Trippier, or I don't really know who would. Oh, Saka. Would he? Saka would.
Hopefully not. I think it's more likely to be Trippier, but I mean, Southgate has played recently Saka at left back, so
yeah,
that might have been with that in mind. But I mean, it's the one positive if you wanted to try and put some kind of spin on the situation is that maybe these defensive injuries will force Southgate into being a little bit more aggressive in the style of play. I doubt it, if at least with his first 11, but it'll be difficult for him to make negative substitutions because he kind of just doesn't have those players available anymore.
Yeah. And I mean, I think from what I've read and heard from most people kind of analyzing England's squad, I don't know if this is the word they're using, but this is the word I kind of thought of, is that they seem kind of stale in the sense that a lot of the players aren't on particularly great form or haven't even played that much for their normal squad. And then you have the fact that overall their last few matches together as England haven't been that exciting. So is that a worry at all?
I don't know. I mean, Jude Bellingham's in great form, right? So he's playing extremely well. Harry Kane is in good form this season. Rashford seems to have refound his form. Saka's having a good season. I think there's a fair number of key players in the squad who you'd say.
What about in the back?
Well, Ben White's playing well, for sure. Kyle Walker's not really been playing. John Stones hasn't played the full season, but's done all right. I guess Eric Dyer's been decent. The big question marks at the back in terms of form, it's Alexander-Arnold and Maguire, really. And then for some other people, it's more fitness related, I guess. But in the likes of Kyle Walker and even Luke Shaw, who's kind of permanently injured. But yeah, I don't have too much in the way. I'm not too concerned in terms of lack of form from when it comes to key players. And James Maddison's in great form, right? It's just a question with some of these players about whether or not how involved they'll be. Like, how involved is James Maddison in this World Cup? Possibly not. We might never see him again. Like, he might be in the Callum Wilson situation where he plays in the third group game because they're resting players for the knockout stage. Like, if everything goes well, if you think back to the 2018 World Cup where they played that dead rubber game against Belgium in the final group game, and I don't know if it wasn't 11 changes, but it was near on. You could have that situation again in this group, and then these players feature, and then we might really never see them.
So I guess with that, we can kind of move in through some of the groups, but I do have some more trivia related to some of the teams that are going to be competing. So the first question would be, in this year with Qatar having their first match in the World Cup, they will make what team in total that have competed at the World Cup? How many total countries have
in the
competed?
History of the World Cup, you mean?
In the history of the World Cup.
Do you want to go first or second on this one, Ollie?
I think I'm going to have to go second. I'm going to have to follow your lead on this one.
I'll say 75.
Ollie's just counting them all in his head. He's just going back, starting from 1930, moving in.
I mean, I guess you get super technical about this, and do you count USSR and Russia as two separate?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the calculation was for that.
I don't think this is going to make a major difference, right? But this is always one of those things when you talk.
It might make a few
Olympic medal situations and stuff, right? It always, how do you assign those records?
What was your, sorry, Eddie? 70?
75 was my number.
I'm going to just slightly undercut that and go 65.
They will be the 80th team.
Oh, I'm pretty pleased with that.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I was pretty impressed that you were that close. So,
and now we're going to spend the next 60 minutes naming all 80 teams.
I was just going to go through the list right now. So yeah, Qatar is currently 250-1 to win, but there have been how many countries that have hosted the World Cup and won?
Oh, I feel like we should be able to get this one right, to be honest with you. If you go back and kind of try and work backwards, I guess the last one to have done it would have been France in 98.
Correct.
Obviously England did it in 66. Brazil would have done it. I mean, they won so the first time they won it was in Sweden, I think, like the first Pele World Cup, 1950, I think that is. Was that in Sweden, I think? Maybe. Mexico City, Mexico's hosted it twice, right? Mexico have never won the World Cup, so can rule them out. I'll say 4.
Ooh, that's a good shout. Because I can't go 5. I'm gonna have to go 3.
So it's 6.
Oh boy,
6 times the host country has won.
Would you like to give us that list?
Yeah.
Or do you not have it?
I don't have it in front of me.
Oh dear. This is unreliable information.
What team has qualified more than any other country but has not won the World Cup?
I'd say the Netherlands, if I had to guess. Which I guess I have to.
Yes, that's the point. Now Ollie will have to guess as well.
Can I have to guess the same team?
I think if you think,
no, you can guess a different
I think
team.
if you think that's the right answer,
that's exactly what came to me straight away.
It is not. It is actually Mexico.
Oh.
They have qualified 16 times and have never won.
Wow.
I'll answer the question, by the way, of the 6 countries that have won as hosts. So Uruguay in 1930 which we're not sure that counts according to Frank. Italy in 1934, we're not sure that counts according to Frank. So England in 66, West Germany in 74, Argentina in 78, and France in 1998. So I guess based on your original parameters, Frank, my guess of 4 was correct because the first 2 don't count.
It was just not for that one. What team has played in the most finals and semifinal matches?
Oh, I mean, there's only 2 options
Brazil?
as far as I'm concerned. It's either, it's either Brazil or Germany. Like,
which one would you like to
Brazil.
guess?
Come on.
I'll guess Germany.
Germany. They've also played the most World Cup matches ever at 106. And they have the tournament's highest ever scorer.
You mean
with how many goals in a career?
I think
World Cup career.
I think it's 16.
It is 16.
Yeah.
Very nice. And how about number of goals in one World Cup? Back in 1958 by Jules Fontaine.
I'll say 7.
Ollie, you want to take a guess?
11.
Close. 13 is the tournament record.
Wow, how disappointing to get 13 in a single World Cup and not hold the overall record at 16. That's
I thought the same. I said at a point, does that make you like the worst and best player in World Cup history?
The definition of a one-hit wonder for a tournament.
And then the last one I thought was pretty interesting is, what's the longest unbeaten goalkeeper amount of time in World Cup history?
So without conceding, you mean, or without losing a game?
Without conceding a goal.
In minutes?
Yes.
Do you want to go first or second, Ollie?
I'll go first on this one.
Ollie just took out his calculator. He's doing some math behind the scenes here.
I'm going to go 360 minutes.
It's not bad. So you're saying 4 matches without conceding. That seems like a pretty good guess. I think that's right around I'm going to go above you because I think going below will be wrong. I'll say 427.
517 minutes. Wow. Walter Zenga of Italy in 1990. It's quite a streak.
Yeah, that's a long time.
So with that, and speaking of Italy, let's not have to talk about them as we do our World Cup preview, because they are one of the notable absentees from this World Cup. So I think slightly disappointing, right? I mean, especially coming off the Euro, you'd want to see the team that won that to be in this, especially, I think. No?
Yeah. I mean, I guess they were unlucky, right, that they drew Portugal in the playoffs, because it then puts you in a situation of I'd rather have Portugal with potentially Cristiano Ronaldo's last World Cup be involved in this than Italy, who even when they're good aren't particularly entertaining. You know, like Cristiano Ronaldo is going to deliver a lot more storylines to this World Cup than Italy would have been able to. And that's really the utmost. I'm not trying to annoy Italians, but like, even when they're super successful, it's not exactly enthralling. So, and again, it's why I know people will say that like qualifying from South America is potentially harder than Europe. I think the argument in Europe is always that one big team always misses out, whereas in South America, they all make it every time.
So then let me ask you this. This is kind of random, but do you think it's worse not having Italy or not having Norway in it, with the fact that with Norway, you're missing what might be the current best player in the world? I just think that's kind of sad that you don't have one of the best players in the world on the world stage. That's always kind of disappointing.
Are you talking about Odegaard?
Yes.
I think in a weird way, if you're Erling Haaland, even though this Norwegian team is actually, it's got a decent amount of talent in it, I almost feel like, and of course he would want to be taking part in the World Cup. I feel like it's kind of a win for him because the reality is he probably would have come to this World Cup, maybe scored a goal, got knocked out in the group stages.
Oh, according to you, Eddie, if you say he maybe scores a goal, he probably would have scored 35.
No, you know what I mean? Like, there's the reality of what the...
No, I don't.
I mean, look at Lewandowski's international career at World Cups, right? Like, being one great goal scorer is not going to necessarily sort of move the needle as a international side. So he the likelihood was he turns up, scores 1 or 2 goals, and then people are saying what a disappointing World Cup for Erling Haaland, because the expectations would be, if he's that good, shouldn't he be able to fire his team into like at least the quarterfinals? Now, of course, maybe he could have done that because there are other good players in the Norwegian team like Odegaard, but I'm sure he'd love to be there because everyone would want to play in a World Cup, but I don't know.
It kind of grows the legend a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes you benefit, right, from not taking part. Like, what would the discussion of like what would Haaland have done at this World Cup is maybe more interesting than he scored 2 goals. The real question is, right, he could have played for England. You know, what would this England team have looked like with Erling Haaland there? Who starts up front? Harry Kane or Erling Haaland? If you're coming into this World Cup and you're only putting one of them up front, that would have been a debate.
Haaland.
You think so? I know you don't really like Harry Kane, Ollie, so that's, you know, you're in the camp that thinks he's grossly
I'd rather
overrated.
play Callum Wilson at this point.
Not a good looking enough scorer.
No. Yeah, he does. Well, there's a discussion. Who's better looking, Harry Kane or Erling Haaland? I think Kane edges it.
I think it's Harry Kane.
Yeah.
There's just something about the way Haaland, like his posture when he's kind of like hunched over
He's
a little
like
bit.
a Neanderthal.
Yeah, it kind of is.
You know, great life, but yeah, he's a little. He looks as if he's, you know, from a little bit earlier in the evolutionary chain of humanity.
The Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, if he was raping and pillaging in my village, I'd definitely be giving up. So, so do we start with Group A then, Frank? I think you were on Group A because you mentioned Qatar.
Yeah, I guess technically we are on Group A. So what are our feelings on Group A?
Not a great group. I mean, I guess we can start with a pretty quick group. Kind of ruined, right, by Sadio Mane being out, so that sort of spoils the party a little bit for Senegal, who are still a good team, but I think for a lot of people coming into this tournament, they were a popular dark horse selection, right? And
yeah,
they still got some talent in their squad, but missing one of the best attacking players in the world is obviously damages their chances, and a shame for him.
And had won the Cup of Africa, Cup of Nations. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Right.
So
and real quick, I guess we should say before you get into your picks, it's Qatar, Ecuador, Senegal, and the Netherlands are the 4 in Group A.
Yeah. This was always going to be the worst group because the host nation gets like automatically put into spot like 1A in the draw. So this was always going to be one of the least exciting groups because of that, because you're kind of losing a top seed from the group fundamentally. I expect the Netherlands to win the group. I'll say that I still think like Ecuador are kind of garbage. So they just don't score goals. I don't see why that will suddenly change in a World Cup. So I'll say Senegal to finish second.
Ecuador currently ranked 44th according to FIFA.
I guess I'll say Ecuador finish third because I don't think they'll lose to Qatar. And then Qatar fourth.
Oh, you're going to do all 4? Okay.
In this situation, it was easy enough.
And obviously for the people who are very new to World Cup, it's the top 2 from each group that will advance. So that's what you gotta play to be in the top 2.
Yeah. So Ollie, what's your prediction for Group A?
I've actually followed you on that one. I had obviously Holland finishing top, and without the Mane factor, I had them progressing also. As you said, I can't really see Ecuador providing much. Well, and Qatar, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty poor group. Holland have really struck gold, really, just to advance to the next stage. I don't know much about Qatar and their football teams. I can't really comment on them. So,
well, that's the issue, right? Qatar is this kind of unknown quantity in some respects, and they've spent the last 8 years giving tons of Brazilians passports. So we don't know. There might be some gems in there who we're unaware of to a certain degree, but it's just hard to, just the inexperience within their side and just the lack of quality. It's hard to imagine that they'll be able to really stand up against some experienced teams there. In Ecuador and Senegal, you still have teams who consistently cause problems for bigger teams. I think that would be the real issue.
Yeah. And then I think if you go to Group B, so I guess this year's World Cup there isn't a true group of death, but I think there are a few groups that are much stronger than others. And I think while this wouldn't look like a strong group, I think Group B is a pretty strong group for who will be the second. I think who will be the second coming out. None of these teams are really bad. I mean, you look at Group A, we just talked about Ecuador being 44th and I think Qatar being ranked 50th. Here you have Iran is the lowest ranked team right now, according to FIFA, at their 20th rank. So you have 4 teams all within the top 20. So not too easy. And you could lose a match here, with just some sloppy play and a little lack of effort.
Let's be real, Wales are dog shit. No, but I mean, you know what I mean? I think that, on paper, people are convincing themselves that this is a good group. I think Wales and Iran are not great sides. The USA have potential and they've got some good players in there and they could cause a lot of teams problems if things go well for them. I don't think they're going to, get into the serious latter stages of the competition, but they could cause England problems in the group stages and then, one or two teams an issue in the knockout stages if they get there. But I mean, Wales will be trotting out Gareth Bale's corpse, and if you can name a player who
games, what are you talking about?
and, can you name a player who plays for Iran?
Man,
how about that for a trivia question before we start complimenting how tough of a tie that's going to be?
They're led an attack by Porto star Mehdi Taremi.
No, they do have some players, but you know what I mean? Still, seriously, though, it's there's not.
Taremi's got 32 goals in his last 45 club matches for Porto.
Yeah, I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo's about to go to Portugal and score 70 goals in a season,
So what's your pick then?
I think England will win the group. I think the USA will finish second.
You give Wales no chance to finish second.
None.
It's the same again, unfortunately. England's the top and USA to progress.
I'll put Wales third just because I think maybe they beat Iran. But it wouldn't stun me if you told me Wales get no points in this World Cup, I wouldn't be amazed.
Yeah, Wales to beat Iran with a Gareth Bale overhead kick. That's what's going to happen.
I mean, I think there has to be there's no worry for US being a super young team that didn't even qualify in 2018. Will be arrogant as usual.
No, because I mean, they do genuinely look. People, we have this conversation a lot. People overstate how good that squad is because Americans love to talk about having X number of Premier League players or X number of Bundesliga players, and as we always like to point out, how many Premier League players are eligible to play for England. It's a lot more than there are American players playing in Europe. But still, there's some genuinely good players in that American squad, all of whom would be starting for... I mean, you just had to do the reverse. How many Welsh players start for the USA? I always think that's just, people love to do this. How many players would make the first 11? It's kind of stupid because obviously systems are different and sometimes players play better as a team than their individual abilities might suggest. But I don't know if a Welsh player makes the U.S. squad, first 11. So why would you not expect to beat them?
I mean, my concern is just watching them over this past year. All their international matches have been super underwhelming.
I guess.
I mean, they didn't even finish top. They didn't even finish top of the group.
All right. Well, let's.
They got demolished by Canada.
Then let's look through Wales's recent form. Right, lost 1-0 to Poland, lost 2-1 to Belgium, lost 3-2 to the Netherlands, drew with Belgium, lost to the Netherlands, beat Ukraine in a playoff, lost to Poland, beat Austria. You know, like it's a hand. This year they've won 2 matches. They happen to be the 2 matches they really needed to win, but it's not exactly spectacular form coming into this tournament. So, and look, you should be just taking pride. I'm going to have a shower after the compliments I just gave to the United States. So, you know, take it when you can get it, Frank, and don't try to convince me to change my mind.
All right. So with that, we'll go to Group C. And here you have Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Poland. Do you think this then is a deep group?
No. Come on. You're going to ask me if a group with Saudi Arabia is a deep group? This is Argentina will clearly win this group, and then it's a question of what happens in Mexico versus Poland.
Mexico for me.
I'll go Poland. Well, this is our first time disagreeing. I think Lewandowski, and I guess his final World Cup, just manages to get Poland into the knockout stages.
I mean, I could be
yeah,
wrong,
and
but
Argentina are on a 36 match unbeaten streak, I believe. So Argentina are coming in very hot form, and this will be Messi's last World Cup.
Messi didn't train today, though, so probably meaningless, but possibility maybe that he's carrying some kind of a knock. He's obviously missed some matches for PSG so far this season, so I guess that's a slight cause for concern. But even without Messi, Argentina should have no difficulties in this group. Not having Messi could have implications for them later on, but they shouldn't need Messi until the quarterfinals.
And then, so you're going Poland, Eddie, and Ollie's going Mexico?
Yeah.
So then move to Group D. Now, is this, Eddie, considered the group of death? Because Christian Eriksen's in it.
Oh, dear.
wow.
No. Oh, wow.
He's been lining that one up all day.
For listeners, that's a joke that Frank is going to ask me later on if he can have edited out. And I'm going to say no. So that's...
well, I think now that he's okay and everything is fine.
How bad are you going to feel if something happens now? Yeah.
Well, as we discussed, I was on the firm side of he should never play again.
Yeah, I think most people were.
Yeah. So in this group, you have France, Denmark, Australia, and Tunisia.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty straightforward group. France will win it. I think Denmark second. I've actually watched some of Australia's matches in recent times because I watched some of their qualifiers, and it was painful. So Australia have had some talented players over the last couple of decades, and this is not one of those times. And their squad looks pretty terrible. And I just don't see how it's difficult to imagine how they can really compete with the likes of France and Denmark. Is that silent agreement or silent disagreement from Ollie?
That is silent agreement. Yeah. Again, maybe not watched as many of you have, Eddie, but yeah, I've seen Australia a few times, and it's been painful.
I don't want to make it out I was tuning in for all of their matches. I think I watched 3. And 3 was enough for me to know there was nothing special. I wasn't missing out on, I should kind of waking up in the morning and seeing match reports from Australia and thinking that I was missing out on some future star. There are no hidden gems in this Australian team.
No, I can agree with you there. So yeah, for me, France to top the group and Christian Eriksen to come second.
So I wanted to stop here and ask, what's the level of concern for France with some of their injuries right now?
Again, for the group, none. For the World Cup itself, yeah, I think it's significant. I think, they've not been in great form, right, during the whole qualification period and stuff. There just seems to be some level of dissent within the team, which is very French, right? They sometimes come into these tournaments and they don't really like each other, and the wheels come off pretty quickly. Like it's,
By like each other, do you mean have each other cursed by voodoo doctors?
Yeah, no, even for them, I don't think this is going to be as catastrophic as like 2010 when you had players walking out of the camp and stuff. Like, I don't think it's that bad, but this is just the nature of French football. It's they win a World Cup or they get very late in the World Cup, and then all of a sudden they all hate each other. I think they suffer a little bit, right, from what Pat Riley, the terminology I think was the disease of me, like the idea that after you experience some success, everyone starts focusing less on the team objectives and more on their individual sort of accolades and achievements. There's still a ton of talent in that squad, though. So, I think they're a threat to win the tournament, and they'll be difficult for anyone to beat. But I don't expect them to win the tournament.
How many times has a country repeated as a champion in the World Cup?
Oh boy. So Brazil did it. I'll say twice.
I'm going to go with just the once.
So it's been twice. Italy and Brazil.
There we go.
Have both won.
Finally got one right.
There you go.
When was Italy, though? In a 10.
34 and 38.
Doesn't count. Ollie gets it right. All right, do we go on to...
And then we move on to Group E, which is Spain and Germany, Japan, and Costa Rica. Is this, Eddie, the group of death?
So I think the groups of death are either...
Don't spoil it.
Well, if I'm going to label the group of death, I kind of have to throw in what else might be the group of death. I think it's either... I don't really think this is a group of death because I think Germany and Spain go through. I think more likely you'd say the group of deaths are sort of like Group G, where the battle for second becomes really difficult. And maybe even Group H, where you can kind of make a legitimate argument for all of the teams maybe having a good tournament. So I'd say this one, I don't know, I just think Germany haven't been great over the last 4 years. Spain seem to be finding their feet a bit. They've obviously got a lot of young, talented players in their squad. So I guess some of the concern is there's a bit of inexperience, and you're relying on some young players really taking a step forward. But I think Spain will win the group and Germany will finish second.
Oh, we have another disagreement here. I've gone for Germany to top the group, and the Spanish to follow up in the second spot. I just think Germany, well, you touched on Spain, have a relatively young squad, lack of experience, obviously a lot of quality. I just think the Germans obviously negotiate tournaments well. I can see them topping this tussle between the Spanish.
Could this be a Germany coming off of a pretty embarrassing previous World Cup and having that extra motivation that they're going to not repeat as a early loser?
Well, obviously, I mean, they had two back to back, a couple of disappointing tournaments, obviously going out in the group stages of the last World Cup, which was the first time that had ever happened to them in their history. And then, they were knocked out in the first knockout stages in the Euros by England. So, that's two. It's not often that Germany have consecutive disappointing tournaments. You kind of already went over the statistics, right, of them winning the most matches and making the semifinals and the finals more than any other side. So just on a historical basis, I guess the safe bet is to kind of do what Ollie's doing and expect that they, find their form again. And then this is a German side that, at least makes the semifinals. But I don't know. I haven't been impressed with them over the past few months, and who knows? If history would tell you, they know how to turn things on in major tournaments, I guess.
And let's not forget the young Dortmund wonder kid in Makoku, or if that's close pronunciation.
Yeah,
he could be a player to potentially light up the World Cup.
Yeah, he's a good candidate for. He does get a little bit overlooked, right? Just because Dortmund don't get that much attention. Obviously, Football Manager players been very aware of him for a few seasons, but in the Bundesliga he gets a bit of attention. But to kind of wider audiences, he's still very much an unknown. So this is a good opportunity for him. I'm sure a lot of people will be Googling him if he scores a few goals for Germany.
Well, you could probably see him be transferred from Dortmund for huge amounts of money to an English club.
To Bayern?
Well, yeah.
Like every other Dortmund player,
Dortmund is Bayern's
feeder,
greatest minor league.
Yeah, their feeder club. Yeah.
So we can go to Group F, where we have Belgium, Canada, Morocco, and Croatia. So Croatia, the classic runners-up of the last World Cup. Too much of our disappointment here on the podcast. What do we think here? Is it end of days for Croatia, or can they repeat?
Their squad's getting really old. They're
really old.
These are actually.
I think Modric's 75.
Yeah, these are actually kind of two aging squads, right? This feels like there's golden generations for both Belgium and Croatia, and this might be the last roll of the dice for both of them. Belgium will have a few players who hang on for a while, but there are a number of key players coming towards the end of their careers, at least from an international sort of major tournament perspective. This Belgian team, if they're all fit, it's as good of a first 11 as you're going to be able to put out there. The question is injuries and suspensions. Like, there's not a tremendous amount of depth. I don't think Croatia will go particularly far in this tournament. I think Belgium will top the group. Croatia will come second.
Yep, we're in agreement there. Yeah, Croatia come second, and in the next round, that's them gone. And to be fair, well, I'm probably getting them ahead of myself here. I think, that group is not really earmarked for much in the tournament. I think they're two teams progressed, and that's them done.
Oh, a teaser for all these predictions for the first knockout round.
Indeed.
Wow. I think Canada are going to get the second spot here.
Do you really?
I
Gun
do.
to your head.
I actually
This is
do.
your prediction.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would take Canada to finish second.
Hockey sticks, or?
I think they're the best team in North America.
Well, that might be
out of U.S. and Mexico and Canada.
Really? I know they have a lot of exciting players, but
they just play well as watching, because I watched most of those qualifying matches, and they look the best out of those three every time. They're just they play well together. They're aggressive. You watch Mexico and it's awful when you watch.
This is a risk you're taking, right? Because you've basically made no other predictions so far through the group stages. So our only takeaway is going to be Frank thinks Canada are qualifying. You're putting
because obviously I've mostly agreed.
I know. I'm just saying you haven't said much, so this is like eggs in all of your eggs in the Canadian basket here.
3-1 to qualify, Frank. Get on.
I love it. All right, and then we go to Group G, which is Brazil, Switzerland, Cameroon, and Serbia.
Yeah, I think this is the best group, right? You can make a case for pretty much all of these teams. Switzerland have been pretty consistent in major tournaments recently. They're not exciting. They don't really score goals, but defensively very solid. Serbia were extremely impressive in qualification. Kind of reverse of Switzerland. Like, play a nice brand of attacking football. So, and then Cameroon, they're decent at the moment. It's not the best generation that they've produced, and they're not coming into it necessarily in the best form, but they still got some good players within that squad. So they'll be difficult for a lot of teams to beat. I think Brazil will win the group. And I think Serbia will qualify for the knockout stages for the first time in their history.
You're in agreement again. I went for Serbia. I just think their attacking players can cause some teams some problems. I mean, Big Mitrovic up front and Flahic obviously for Juve. We've got some good attacking players there, so I think they've got more to offer really than the Swiss and the Cameroon team. So yep, we're in agreement.
So interesting to note, last World Cup, all three of these countries were in the same group, and it went Brazil, Switzerland, and Serbia in that one. So Serbia are looking to maybe avenge Switzerland here and moving up and bumping them out of the group stage here.
And you want to move us on to the final group?
Yep. So we can go to Group H, and that is Ghana, South Korea, Uruguay, and Portugal.
Yeah, it's kind of another compelling group, right? Because, again, you can make a legitimate case for all of them. Uruguay, another team where they've got some key players coming towards the end of their careers. Same for Portugal, obviously, with Cristiano Ronaldo. South Korea, you've got Son, assuming he's going to be able to play.
You mean the Phantom of the Opera?
Yeah. It's kind of quick recovery time from the injury that he had. And I guess the mask that he'll have to wear protects him a little bit, but it's a bit of an injury risk, and they do need him, right? I think Portugal will win the group, and I'll pick Uruguay to finish second.
We are definitely singing from the same hymn tonight by a couple of lines. Yep, I've gone the same. Portugal to top, and I think Uruguay, due to the sort of experience, if you like, in tournaments, maybe will have that slight edge. So, well, we'll see. Tough group, as you've already said. Tough group.
Now I'm going to throw a random one out to both of you. Who is the most talented player in this year's World Cup?
Oof. That's a tough question, actually.
I'll put it, maybe I'll put it this way, it might be a little better. If you had the first pick to start a club, who's your pick going to be?
And I'm wanting to win now?
Anyone that's playing in this World Cup.
I want to win straight away, or I'm building a team?
Win now. Yeah, like the best right now.
Oh. Probably Mbappe, I guess. It's the safest pick.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about De Bruyne?
There's solid arguments can be made for Kevin De Bruyne.
I mean, he's on form, right? I talk about being on form. I think he's having a great season so far.
Yeah, no, he's probably the best midfielder in the world. But I mean, I guess the argument we'd have if I don't know what else I'm going to have in my team, at least with just the raw pace of Mbappe, you kind of know you're going to cause people problems no matter what. Whereas Kevin De Bruyne, as wonderful as he is, if he was just surrounded by awful players, like how, those through balls and stuff might be a little bit less dangerous. You know that with Mbappe, you could just knock balls over the top and have him chase them, and every once in a while, he's going to do something pretty special. So I guess that takes us on to the knockout stages, which I guess we can run through maybe our predictions pretty quickly to see. I at least have based on those predictions, I know what my knockout round would look like. All the ours would look pretty similar, but we have a couple of disagreements.
Correct.
I guess we can maybe go through the ones where we both agree. So we, for example, both have the Netherlands playing the USA.
Correct.
where I have the Netherlands going through.
Same again.
We both have Argentina playing Denmark.
Correct.
And I have Argentina going through.
Same again.
Well, I mean,
we both have England playing Senegal.
We know the answer to this one.
And I've got England going through.
Yep.
Where we have a disagreement, I have France playing Poland, and you would have France playing Mexico. But I have France going through.
I don't think it matters.
I'm going to assume you have France going through as well.
Correct.
One where it will matter, I guess, technically. This is the first one where we have a disagreement then of significance. I have Spain playing Croatia, and you have Germany playing Croatia.
Correct.
I have Spain going through. I'm guessing you have Germany going through.
Yes, I do.
We both have Brazil playing Uruguay.
Yes.
And I'm going to assume we both have Brazil going through.
Correct.
Then I have Belgium playing Germany, and you have Belgium playing Spain.
Yes.
And I think we might disagree on this because I'm going to have Belgium going through.
Spain to go through.
All right. This is the first.
So before we move on.
Yeah. Well, we got one more.
Both of you have played it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And then we both have Portugal playing Serbia.
Correct.
I'll say I'm giving Portugal a slight edge, but it wouldn't surprise me if Serbia went through.
I went Portugal.
Okay.
Now that we finished that, both of you have gone pretty much to chalk with the probably what will be the favorite team in most of those matchups.
Yeah.
Are you concerned that there's no sleeper team moving on? I mean, even like if you were to say like a Croatia, a team like that kind of wasn't in the traditional top 10 that keeps moving along. Are you a little concerned right now that you just have all the big dogs?
I think there are far fewer surprises in the World Cup than sometimes people going into the tournament like to think. Like there's weird World Cups where weird things happen, but for the most part, like when you get to the quarterfinals, semifinals, like there's not usually that many surprises at that stage of the tournament. So I'm not, there's sometimes when we do these picks where you kind of feel as if you need to put some upsets in there. Like if you're doing March Madness or something, like it's just not going to go. The favorites are not just going to keep winning. I wouldn't stun me if we're basically right. I mean, you'd obviously, if I'm making the predictions, I should expect them to be correct. But if you see what I mean, like there'll probably be a surprise team in there. Someone will have a really bad performance in the knockout stages in the first round or something. But for the most part, I think we're probably pretty accurate. Although this round for each of us kind of looks different. We both have Netherlands playing Argentina. And I have Argentina winning that.
Same again.
And we both have England playing France. This is where it's heart versus head territory for me.
Massively, yes.
Because the heart very much says England. The head very much says France.
Yeah.
And I think I have to do that.
Now, does the head really say France? I mean, I know they're defending champions, but we discussed they do have a lot of injuries, and I don't think they're of the quality that they were last World Cup.
They're not, but this is England we're talking about, right? So I can count on one hand the number of times I've watched an England team knock out a significant opponent in the knockout stages of a major tournament. Like it's a pretty short list in the last 3 decades. So that has no impact necessarily on what is going to happen in this match. But it would be difficult to be an England fan coming into this with a lot of confidence. History would just tell you France will win. Like that's just the way it works, But I'll say England.
Yep. I had exactly the same dilemma there. Really wanted to say France, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it.
And just
England
like
to
that,
progress.
both your brackets are busted.
Yeah, we might have been near on perfect up until this moment, until we went, oh, let's let our hearts decide what we do for this.
Yep.
And so then you have Germany playing Brazil.
Correct.
I have Spain playing Brazil.
Do we have the same
I
team
think
to go
Brazil
through?
will. I think Brazil will go through.
I picked Brazil also to beat the Germans.
And then you have Germany playing Portugal, and I have Belgium playing Portugal.
No. Germany.
No, you don't?
Germany just play Brazil. I have Spain versus Portugal.
Oh, yeah, you have Spain. Yeah, I see. Yeah. So I have Belgium knocking out Portugal.
I have the Portuguese knocking out the Spanish.
Okay.
Cristiano Song, he's on it.
So, Eddie, you and I have very similar brackets.
Oh, dear.
Not
No.
good. The final four are the same.
Oh, dear.
The only difference I have is I had Brazil beating Germany.
Okay.
And you had Brazil beating Spain.
And
that's the only
and
difference.
this,
so
if my predictions are true so far, this is where, as an England supporter, I get really excited because we both have the same semifinal on one side, which is Argentina against Brazil, and I have Brazil winning this.
That would be a classic matchup.
Yeah,
though.
huge.
That would be exciting. That would be exciting to watch. Talk about some rivalry.
I mean, this would be the annoying semifinal, no matter what the matchup is on the other side, where you'd have a lot of people saying, should really be the final. Isn't it a shame that Argentina have to play Brazil in the semifinal and they can't play each other in the final? That would be the discussion for 3 or 4 days in the build up to this match.
Yep, I had Brazil.
And okay, so we've both put Brazil into the final on one side, and then the reason why I would be so excited is I have England playing Belgium, and I would actually, whereas I would have no confidence really in England playing France, I would have total confidence in England playing Belgium. So I then have England making the final, and
oh dear, yeah. Eddie, this is a very similar bracket you and I have.
And Ollie, you have England playing
Portugal.
Which I'm guessing
I would. I think I'd feel more confident.
Really? I fancy the Portuguese.
I'd rather play Portugal, I think, than Belgium.
I fancy the Portuguese, and I had similar to the previous round. It was a head over heart situation.
I mean, so let's say you're right, Ollie. That we've got 4 days of people saying Brazil and Argentina should be the real final, and then we have 4 days of constant replays of 2004 and 2006 of Portugal knocking England out of major tournaments. You have to prepare yourself for just watching endless penalty shootouts of Portugal knocking England out, of Cristiano Ronaldo getting Wayne Rooney sent off. That's just like all we'll see for nearly a week.
Unfortunately, that's how I've got it, and I fancy Portugal to go all the way, but my heart is winning this, and I'm going to have to say England to progress.
So that means we both have England playing Brazil in the final. What a fun!
Okay, this is where we might differ.
And I have Brazil winning it.
I have Brazil winning it. Yeah.
England to win the World Cup. Come on.
Okay. So...
oh, God. We brought this guy on just to be another person who thinks England's going to win.
I mean, in fairness, we all put them in the we all put them in the final, so we can't really be too critical of his selections because we just picked them to win one extra match. But I mean, yeah, that's and I guess it's worth saying then in the third place playoff, I have Argentina playing Belgium. And Ollie, you have Portugal. Argentina playing Portugal. And I'll say Argentina will win the third place playoff.
I went Portugal. If that was to occur, obviously.
So, yeah, that's...
I had Belgium winning third place.
All right, well...
That's our only difference, Eddie.
I mean, look, what a World Cup that would be. It would annoy all of neutrals. I know how much people hate England being successful. I know people will listen to this and think, what a typical... I would say this is the first time in my lifetime I would have ever picked England to make the final of the World Cup. I want that as a disclaimer. Because, So it's not as if just every World Cup that rolls around, I put England into the final. But I'm also acknowledging I kind of expect them to lose in the quarterfinals. So kind of a weird balancing act there.
Yeah, I agree. Spot on there. They could quite easily exit at the quarterfinal, and Gareth could be on his merry way.
That's the larger discussion, right? Like, what do England need to do in this tournament for Southgate to keep his job?
I think minimum expectation has to be the semis, really. I can't see a quarterfinal defeat good enough, really.
Well, it's a weird one, right? Because I think most people, if England are playing France in the quarters, France will be the favorites. So in some respects, I think he'll lose his job if they lose that, even though people would have expected them to lose it. In a strange way, I think losing in the semifinals, if they're playing Belgium or Portugal, where they'd then be favorites, I think people might even be more upset about that, because then they'll just think this is like the Gareth Southgate that we've come to know, which is you get to like a winnable opponent and
like Croatia, let's say.
Yeah, or Italy, like whoever it is, and just come up short at that moment in time. So that would be my fear for him in some respects, is like anything short of sort of losing to Brazil in the final, or maybe Argentina. Every other possible outcome probably involves him leaving, sort of hanging up his waistcoat at the end of the tournament.
Will it be too warm for him to wear a waistcoat?
Oh, this could be the story that needs to be written about the impact that the non-waistcoated Gareth Southgate has on England's performances.
Or would he
Hopefully he's
wear
got
a
like a
waistcoat?
linen waistcoat or something.
Well, I mean, there is air conditioning at all the stadiums.
Yeah. But then there's a larger discussion to be had about why the impact of this World Cup on climate change, and why are we cooling a World Cup stadium enough in a desert so that Gareth Southgate can comfortably wear a waistcoat.
Which I also thought they said that they're like, it's the most eco-friendly World Cup, which just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I think some of the math has been fudged a little bit on that, but it's like it's a weird world kind of cooling their system they're using, right? Somehow, I don't know. I'm both not totally interested or totally understand it, but there's some kind of cool. It's not like pure air conditioning that they're using, so it's somehow slightly better. But I don't buy it for a second.
And I guess if we just take a quick look at the odds, you have Brazil are favored at, I have them at 7-2, 3-1, 7-2. Then Argentina are about 5-1, 6-1. Then France and 7-1, and then England, Spain are both 8-1. So if you think England are going to win, is 8-1 a decent value?
Well, I mean, if you think they're going to win, yeah. But is 8-1 good value? I think 8-1 is probably about fair value, I would say. It's hard to look at the teams. I mean, I guess Ollie would say Portugal at 16-1. I guess you could argue both of us.
What about Belgium?
Yeah, I've Belgium at 18-1, and I've put them in the semifinal. So I guess based on our predictions, the value are Portugal and Belgium at 18-1 and 16-1 respectively, although neither one of us put them in the final. So
my head did, but not my heart.
Yeah.
Belgium are 3-1 to make the semifinal, and Portugal are 5-2 to make the semifinal.
In some ways, right, the big value, if I look at it, it's the Netherlands are both too short and too long. Like 12-1, which is around about where they are in most places. I don't think they're that great of a side, so that's kind of those odds are too short. But because of how easy their group is, and then easy, like even their first knockout round opponent should be fairly winnable. If you're kind of penciling them in already to the quarterfinals, having a team at 12-1 where you can feel pretty confident they might only have to win 3 difficult matches, that's not bad. I don't expect them to do it, but
I guess one more future Andy Post bet would be top goal scorer.
Yeah, I mean, we both have England in the final, so I guess You got to make a strong case for Harry Kane if England are in the final.
No, I think it will be Harry Kane.
He is currently leading the market at 7-1.
Yeah,
he doesn't come off for England though, does he? Gareth plays him the full 90.
Yeah, I mean the strong arguments based on our predictions, right? You'd have to say Harry Kane 7-1. If our predictions are correct, you probably have to rule Mbappe out because who's second favorite at 8-1 because
Neymar 12-1.
Neymar at 12-1. It's just like, I mean, it's how many penalties do you think Brazil are going to get?
So if Ollie is correct and we are wrong, Eddie, then this would be the longest drought for South America as a continent in not winning the World Cup. It'll have been over 20 years since 2002. So if they win, that won't be the record. It'll still hold. But if they lose, that will now make the longest drought for South America. So a lot riding on Argentina and Brazil.
Yeah, particularly on Brazil, right? Because a lot of people are getting very excited about how talented this generation of Brazilian footballers are and their front three and things. And also, you know, I think it's nice timing, right? Because that you're 20 years removed from that 2002 Brazilian side, which probably the best Brazilian side in modern history, sort of modern being kind of our generations, right? Not modern, obviously Brazil 1970 is considered to be the best international team of all time. But yeah, I don't know. I think Brazil are rightfully favorites. But then sometimes I then think to myself, Richarlison is going to be playing a major part in this Brazilian team. How confident would I be if I said Richarlison was playing a major part in this England team? And there's weird moments where if you named Richarlison like Danny Richards and he was playing for England, how great would I feel about him? Sometimes you can just get convinced, you know, by like the exotic names. It's true though. Like sometimes you just have to do that equation in your head where like if you made every England player gave them some, you know, Brazilian sounding name, like Canino would be, you know, people would be, you know, Ollie would be creaming himself if Canino was like starting up front for
Harry Canino.
Yeah, Harrelson Canino was starting up front for Chelsea.
No, just Canino. That's it.
I mean,
he just goes by
be
Canino.
The greatest player of all time, and that's a little simplistic, but I do genuinely think there are arguments with that sometimes. English players can be vastly overrated, but I think normally what happens with English players is they're overrated for a period of their career. They're probably never properly rated, and then they're sort of underrated. Like
what if they have a really unique name like Samuel Jones?
Oh yeah, that's so exotic. If you told me Samuel Jones is playing in this World Cup, I'd be like, is he starting up front for Brazil or Portugal?
You don't hear it very often.
No, it's such a unique name. Uncommon first name, uncommon second name. You know, it's just quite the combination.
So are there any, I mean, I shouldn't put it that way. What matches are you most looking forward to in the group stage?
Germany, Spain, probably. I think that's probably like.
I think England, US has to go on there.
I mean,
which the US will be quite confident, right? Because they have a pretty good recent record against England in World Cup.
Yeah. Like England, US, there's some storylines, right? But if you're a total neutral in that match, I don't think it's particularly exciting. You know, like I think Germany, Spain, it's just like a fixture rife with history. You're talking about two of the, you know, giants of world football. That's the one that on paper seems the most compelling.
Argentina, Mexico? Would that be a tussle?
Oh, you just love Mexico.
Many
you've had too much old El Paso recently or something. I don't know what's going on there.
I've got my Mexican shirt ready.
One weekend in Cancun and it's changed his life.
Spring break had a lasting effect on Ollie.
Spring break 2004 just changed Ollie's life in Cancun.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Argentina. I mean, I think Argentina, Mexico is kind of on a par with the England USA in a way.
So that leads me to, I guess, will be my final question. What was the first year the World Cup had a live television transmission?
I think it was 66.
Yeah.
Although 66 might be the first year there was color. But then, that being said, like all the footage you see is black and white.
Yeah, no.
I think it's 66.
Yeah, it was definitely black and white. They remastered it, didn't they, into color?
Yeah. But then 70 is definitely color, right? Because 70, like the Gordon Banks save, is that 70 or 74 against Pele? That's 70, right? And that's ours in color. You see that save in color.
Yeah, I think 66.
So it was actually 1954.
I mean,
in Switzerland.
If you're to
post World War II.
If any of your statistics are to be believed, I guess.
It was televised, but how many people actually had live televisions and were watching it?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Just people in the stadium. Speaking of which, I'll ask that question. Ollie's a big flash scores proponent, right? Which we all are. It's always interesting.
Wait. What does that mean? Like that having flash scores on or off can affect the outcome of a game?
That's just me. Just using flash scores for updates.
Okay.
I always find it interesting when I step into a live event. Sometimes I still check flash scores for an event I'm watching just out of habit. I'm checking like flash scores for an event I'm watching live, even though obviously there's no way it's faster. If you see
watching live, like in the stadium, or watching live on television?
No, I'm in the stadium. Okay. Television can kind of make sense because you're probably dealing with like a 15 to 30 second delay. Flash scores can beat you. But I mean literally be in the stands watching it, and I'm definitely going to get that faster, right? And then just out of habit, I'm not saying I'm doing it because I think it's smart, but just like out of habit, be like, oh, let me see the flash scores. It's just, I'm conditioned at this point.
I have no words.
I did it during the Blackburn-West Ham match I was at and laughed about it. And then West Ham scored, and then I kind of waited for 15 seconds. I was like, oh, big chance, West Ham, big chance.
Now, here's a question. When you were at the match, did you turn off flash scores when Rovers were down?
No, I never had the updates on.
I thought you were going to say I never had it out. That's what you were just going to say.
No, I never had the updates on. I wasn't then, because it was a League Cup match, right? I wasn't like nervous during it. I went in expecting West Ham to win, and it was kind of just like a free roll of the dice. And obviously going to the penalty shootout, I wanted them to win, and you kind of get a little bit nervous, but like I wasn't going to lose sleep over Blackburn getting knocked out there. If that had been a playoff, like semifinal or final, then yes, my superstitions would have definitely come out, but not for that match.
So, any other World Cup 2022 preview? Facts, excitement, worries? Here, I'll throw one out at both of you. Where does it go wrong for England?
When Harry Maguire steps onto the pitch?
I guess the thing that's scary is it's difficult to look at this group and see it going wrong in the group. Like, I could see England losing a group game. Like, if you told me the USA beat England, I wouldn't be stunned, if you see what I mean. Like, if they play each other 10 times, the USA is definitely winning one or two of those, right? So it's just, this feels like a group where England could afford to lose one match, and still you'd expect them to at least win the other two. So it's kind of hard to see it going wrong in the group stages because of that fact. At the same time, like, if they draw with Iran or something in the opening match, panic buttons will be pressed, right?
So say something did go wrong and they finished second, that would alter the path to the final. That might throw up an interesting twist.
Yeah.
Would you see them qualifying past Holland?
Yeah, I think so.
And then,
I mean, definitely winning the group is I don't want to go down the 2018 path where people were deciding, like, was it better to finish first or second in the group? In the end, clearly it was better to finish second, right? That was the easier path to the final.
Yeah.
In this time around, clearly the easier path to the final is winning the group, because you shouldn't be on the same side as Brazil or Argentina.
so you wouldn't fancy
like
England versus Argentina in the quarterfinals then on that other side?
No, I don't want to be.
I would much rather face France than Argentina.
I don't want to be part of the messy last World Cup storyline. You know what I mean? Like, especially with the history between England and Argentina and all of that. Like, I don't want to be watching, and I then don't want him pulling off something spectacular and people talking about then the parallels with Maradona. You know, like there's just so much bad history for England when it comes to playing Argentina in knockout games. I want no part of it. Like, France. I mean, the nice thing about playing France is in our lifetimes, right? There's not, as far as I can think of, the only time England and France have played each other in a major tournament in our lives is 2004 in the group stages when Zidane scored the 2 late goals and Beckham missed the penalty. But it was the group stages. It kind of didn't matter. I don't have a ton of, like, there wouldn't be Argentina. It's just all negative. Brazil, it's 2002 negative. You know what I mean? Like, there's just, I mean, it's mostly most big teams. It's negative, but like, there's a few I just don't want. I wouldn't believe. I don't know.
You've got to buck the
Canino
trend at
versus
some point.
Messi, and I think Messi wins.
You've got to beat the big teams to be the best team.
You do, and I think that's always the argument for, like, you don't, like going back to 2018 of trying to avoid the better, like to actively like finish second in a group to try and avoid good teams. I don't think there's any logic to that. But when it's like win your group, you're going to have to play. Like we've still predicted them to play a number of like big teams, right? We've got them playing France or Belgium or Portugal. Like there's good teams there on their path to the final. It's just they're favorites in most of those, whereas they definitely wouldn't be favorites against Argentina. They definitely wouldn't be favorites against Brazil. Just delay that, and who knows? Maybe there's a surprise on the. Maybe you get up like France in 2018. You get to the final and go, "Oh shit, we're playing Croatia. That's pretty nice." Like that's. But no, it feels weird to think that the World Cup kicks off in just over a day. Does not feel like it. But I am looking forward to being in a bar at 2:00 in the afternoon on Monday, watching England play a World Cup match. So,
yeah, I'm excited to be in a bar at 6 a.m. watching England play a World Cup match.
You going to the English bar pub, Frank?
Yes, I will be going.
Very good.
Especially USA England, I'll be going to the English pub.
Well, that's at a nicer time, right?
Which that's an afternoon kickoff. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. Day after Christmas. Christmas. I keep saying Christmas. Day after Thanksgiving. 12 noon kickoff will be exciting.
Yeah, that's kind of prime. It's a really nice time in the USA. But yeah, it's a
nice time for all the Americans to have the day off, sit around the television and watch Harry Kane light him up for at least 3.
Well, Kane's injured then. That's the Duke of Curse on him. I'll send him.
I just got a flash score update. Kane's got a knock in practice.
I'll send a message to Callum Wilson. Tell him that he's about to get a lot of playing time in this World Cup. I mean, look, I think the other thing that's disappointing just in terms of the anticipation of the World Cup is just how shit the opening match is. Like the fact that it's Qatar, Ecuador in the first match, and that's the only match of the day. Like the previous, like Russia, I think Russia played Saudi Arabia maybe in the opening match of the 2018 World Cup. But like that was an early kickoff, and then they had another match afterwards. So you kind of at least get into, like, when there's multiple World Cup matches on the same day, you can kind of accept them not being great just because it's like a World Cup day. But the fact that you have Qatar, Ecuador as a shit match and there's nothing else, that's going to be not great.
All right. Well, I guess with that, we'll wrap it up. Ollie, thanks for joining us.
No, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
All right, I'll talk to you boys later.
See ya.
Cheers.